Hey, it's Chelsea. Welcome to my channel. We are going to be taking a look at the upcoming full moon in Gemini. So there are certain times when the transits and the stars just align in such a way that is so synchronistic and it just seems so fated. And this transit is going to be one of those moments. So the Gemini full moon is going to be exact this Wednesday, December 7th at 11:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Adjust accordingly for your own time zone. I've got the chart pulled up in front of me, and so I'm going to be sharing my screen with you so that you can look along with me. And also, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Let's take a look at what is going on with the chart. So, as you can see, we have the moon over here at 16 degrees and 2 minutes of Gemini, directly opposing the sun in Sagittarius that is at 16 degrees as well. So if you look next to the moon, you will see that we have an exact conjunction with Mars at the time of this full moon. So not only do we have an exact conjunction with Mars, but Mars is also retrograde. And so that means that there are some pretty synchronistic alignments happening in the sky at this time. So if we look up the night of the full moon, this is what we would see. We would see the moon eclipsing Mars. So Mars is going to be completely covered by the full moon. And so, I mean, this is just a it's a rare alignment. And the fact that it's happening at the exact time of the full moon is just really crazy to me. So here is another perspective of what we will see. You'll see that the Earth is here. The moon is completely blocking out Mars. So let's go back and take a look at the chart. Well, first of all, what is Gemini? Gemini is a mutable air sign, and it has a lot to do with choices. So something also that is interesting, because Mars has been retrograde through the sign of Gemini, it had gotten up to pretty much near the end of it. It was in the final decan of Gemini until it stationed retrograde and has been backtracking through the sign of Gemini. And so the first time that Mars was at this 16 degrees of Gemini was September 20th, just a few months ago. So you can reflect back to that time, what was going on in your life around that time, what kind of lessons or themes were you working through? Because it's possible that we may be visiting whatever was going on through our life at that time, whether it's choices, arguments, that could be a big one as well. But so yeah, reflect back to that time, see if there's any sort of like lingering loose ends or things to be reconsidering, reevaluating, or just kind of getting back to revisiting, because Mars retrograde, because it's retrograde, there are going to be those RE words, just as if we were in a Mercury retrograde. You're kind of like reflecting, reevaluating, rearranging, all of those things, just like going back and kind of just making things a little bit better so that when we are moving forward again, it's going to be so that we have a more solid foundation. And so I have mentioned before that Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, it's kind of like a long Mercury retrograde. So there may be, like communication issues, travel issues, all sorts of things like that, technology kind of messing up a little bit. But so anyway, so where to begin with this? Well, let's look to the ruler of this full moon. First of all, the ruler of this full moon in Gemini is Mercury. And you will see that at the time of this full moon, Mercury will have just ingressed into the sign of Capricorn. And so Mercury is going to be traveling in Capricorn up until about 24 degrees, which I believe is happening December 28th. That is when Mercury stations retrograde. So Mercury will be, just like Mars, traveling backwards. So there's going to be a period of time when Mars and Mercury are both retrograde at the same time. That's going to be December 28th until Mars stationing direct at January 12th. So during that time, definitely don't rush into things. Think twice before speaking, before taking action. Don't rush things. Just be kind of cautious around that time because yeah, that Mercury retrograde is definitely going to be amplified, but it's also a really great time to be just making sure that we have all of our ducks in a row and that like all of our I's are dotted, T's are crossed, so that, like I said, when we're moving forward again, we're gonna have a very strong and solid foundation. So what is Mercury doing at the time of this full moon? Well, you'll see that Mercury has been traveling with Venus throughout the sign of Sagittarius, and I believe through Scorpio as well. They've been like very close together for a while. And so all of the transits that Mercury has been having, Venus has also been having as well. So what has been going on? Well, not only was there the opposition with Mars for a period of time there, like the sun is now going to be experiencing, but there has also been this square, this tense interaction between the planets of Jupiter and Neptune in the sign of Pisces. So you will notice that these three signs here, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Gemini, they are all mutable signs. And so the mutable signs are known as like the chameleons of the zodiac. They end out the seasons and they're really good at changing direction. So now is the time to be pivoting and not being so stuck in ways, so fixed on certain outcomes or certain things, because there are just going to be so many things changing right now. And just like you'll think that something is going to be happening one way and then completely out of nowhere, just something changes. Directions are just shifting. And so also you will see that we've got Saturn down here in the sign of Aquarius. So speaking of shifting directions and change coming out of nowhere, for the last, I believe since October, we have had Saturn and well, this has been an ongoing theme since 2021. I've talked about it in my recent video. I talk about it often. But we have been under the influence of this Saturn-Uranus square happening between the signs of Aquarius and Taurus. And that is bringing just so much change. We think that something is going to be one way, completely blindsided by change, by just innovations, new things coming out of nowhere, our foundations kind of being rocked a little bit. And that's why it is so important right now to allow ourselves to be flexible. But so this is an energy, like finally, Uranus and Saturn are coming off of that square. They're about 5 degrees away now. So this is an energy that's gonna still be there for a little while longer, but it is lessening in tension. And so, since I'm talking about Saturn, let's look at what is going on with Saturn during this lunation, because I think it is really interesting. So I've mentioned that Mars and the moon are conjunct for this full moon. And so that means that Mars is going to be in an opposition with the sun. And so this is an energy, it doesn't happen all that often, but this is an energy that it's definitely tension, like tense situations, like really adding to the tension. And I mean, squares like we are having here and here, like squares, well, it's a T-square really that's happening during the time of this full moon. And squares are areas of tension in the chart that really kind of initiate a change because things are just so uncomfortable. Like something has to give. Otherwise, like if we are not actively making that change in order to change things in our lives, some sort of outside circumstance will. That's kind of the energy of squares and of T-squares in the chart. But so this energy and just like the moon covering up Mars has like really been going through it during this retrograde. And because when you think about Mars, it's the planet of action and moving forward. And Mars in Gemini is a faster moving energy, but because it has been moving backwards through the sign of Gemini, it's like it's very easy to just misstep or to like get burnt out right now, to overwork ourselves, to overextend ourselves. And Mars isn't moving as fast as it usually likes to. And if there is a lot of fast movement, there's gonna be more of a chance for us to need to slow down and like check back over things. There may be errors or there may be just issues with moving forward at this time, especially because Mars has been in a square with Neptune throughout this Mars retrograde. And so you'll see now they're about 6 degrees apart. So they're coming off of the square until later on, I believe in February, when they're going to be exact again in a square. But so this is an energy like Neptune and Pisces. And also Neptune recently stationed direct. Was it, yeah, like the 3rd of December today. Neptune, at the time of me filming this, Neptune stationed direct after being retrograde. And so when planets, especially like these bigger ones, when they change directions, there is just like this big energy. They're really making themselves known. Like think about a big boat moving through the ocean and like turning, and how the waves, how it's kind of like slow at first, but then it's just like whoosh. And there's just like their waves are just like their energy just makes such an impact. And so that's exactly what's going on at the time of this full moon. And Neptune is home in its sign of Pisces and right alongside Jupiter, that is just 5 degrees ahead of it, which Jupiter has also recently stationed direct. And Jupiter is also home in Pisces because they're both co-rulers. Jupiter is the ancient ruler of Pisces and Neptune is the modern ruler. And so there is just like this big Neptunian energy, like this full moon, even though it's like it's happening with the sun in Sagittarius and then the moon is up here in Gemini. Look at where all of the energy is being directed. It's to these planets here in the sign of Pisces. And so, but something interesting about both Gemini and Pisces is that these are both signs of doubles. Gemini is the twins and Pisces has the 2 fish. And so that's just, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. But so when we think about the energy being directed over here to Neptune and Jupiter in Pisces, that's a very spiritual energy. It's very, it's like mysticism, intuition, flowing, allowing yourself to flow and not be so fixed on things. Just like these endless possibilities that are presenting themselves. And so, when we look at Jupiter, because this is a really big energy during the time of this full moon as well, Jupiter is over here at the 29th degree of Pisces. The 29th degree of any sign is known as the anaretic degree, and the 29th degree of Pisces is the final degree in the entire zodiac. So there is this big energy of completion happening right now. And this final decan of Pisces is ruled by Scorpio. And so even though there are no signs in Scorpio right now, the South Node is in Scorpio. We're just coming off of the Scorpio eclipse season. And I feel like Jupiter in this degree of Pisces is really just finalizing, something that we may have been working through during the time of the Scorpio and Taurus eclipses that were happening during Scorpio season. And also the ruler of Scorpio, Pluto, is down here at 26 degrees of Capricorn, and it is in a harmonious aspect in a sextile with Jupiter and with Neptune. And so sextiles are energies of, it's a harmonious aspect, but it does involve taking some risk in order to really take advantage of the energies. It is it's an activation that it creates within the chart somehow in some area. And so with Pluto, in this harmonious activation with Jupiter and Neptune, again, it really is just pointing towards this transformation and this inner alchemy that is occurring on a very deep spiritual level, because Sagittarius and Pisces are arguably the two most spiritual signs of the entire zodiac. And so this isn't a time to really be transforming things on a very deep energetic level, like deep within our subconscious mind. And so that's another thing, like this energy of Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces, like it is an energy of the subconscious mind. And it's just funny because like this energy of Gemini, it is typically, and I mean, the ruler of this Gemini, Mercury, it is typically like a very, a strong, logical, cerebral kind of energy. But because of just like this tension and this conflict that is happening within this T square, and also just the complete power emanating from Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces right now, it's really a time to be allowing ourselves to surrender into the subconscious mind, and to be allowing our conscious mind to just like trying to allow it to relax, and like not trying to force things so much right now, not trying to like figure things out on a conscious, logical level so much, and really just surrendering and trusting and allowing ourselves to drift off into the subconscious mind so that we can really understand ourselves at a deeper level, because our subconscious mind is really the part of ourselves that governs so much of our behavior, the way that we act, our beliefs, the decisions, the choices that we make. A lot of it is rooted in our subconscious mind. And so what happens is we store so much energetic, just like garbage, like this energetic sludge will attach itself to our energy field. And it's really our just emotions that we are stagnant emotions that we are not allowing to be cleansed and released from our body. And so with Jupiter at that final degree of not only Pisces, but the entire zodiac, there is this energy. And then especially with Pluto here, there is this energy of needing to cleanse and purge ourselves at such a deep spiritual, energetic, emotional level, because as we release those stagnant emotions that we just have been holding on to for so long, especially that may have risen to the surface during the intensity of the recent Scorpio eclipse season, these emotions are hindering us from decisions that are necessary in order to take us into the timeline, just like the reality that it is that we want to experience. Like, look at it from point A to point B. Like point A is where we are now, point B is where we want to go. And that journey of getting from point A to point B at this time really is, a lot of it is removing those old stagnant emotions, allowing that to be completely cleared so that we are able to move forward in a way that is empowered and move forward in a way that is not being blocked by our energetic or emotional just like disturbances and hindrances. But so yeah, so definitely allowing ourselves to surrender, to understand our subconscious mind at a deeper level and what it is that needs to be released and cleared at this time is very important. And it can be as simple as just having awareness and being present enough to hear the speak, or to hear just like what is going on in the inner world, like what kind of conversations are we having within ourselves. Because a lot of times like like the inner conversation that we're having with ourselves might be really just detrimental to where it is that we want to be moving into our lives. And so just these like little subtle things right now, like really allowing ourselves to acknowledge these little subtle things, and just allowing that awareness to awareness of these little things to just like make a big impact in our lives. And so that's also this energy of Jupiter at the 29th degree of Pisces. It is just like this big dissolving and dissipating energy. And so just allowing that dissipation of, yeah, those stagnant emotions to just be completely cleared. But so, okay, something that's interesting that is also happening with Saturn. It's like Saturn right now, Saturn in Aquarius is really offering Mars its support. So there's just like this interesting dynamic that's happening between Saturn and Mars. It is a trine that's happening, an air trine, and trines are very harmonious energies that offer just kind of like an area of, I want to say, blessings in this situation. Saturn is really assisting Mars during this difficult transit that Mars is experiencing, so that really to enable a creation of strong and solid foundations. And Saturn is very patient, where Mars just wants to make things happen very quickly. And so Saturn is like, there are just so many gifts and blessings that can be received as we are being patient and really allowing ourselves to do that Saturnian work that is just really an energy of longevity. But so we've also got Saturn sextiling the sun at the time of this full moon and for the days to follow. And so this is also a harmonious aspect. As I have mentioned, like sextiles are like awakenings that are happening, or I meant to say activation, but yeah, I guess this kind of is an awakening that is happening within the masculine aspects, because the sun, Mars, and Saturn, I mean, they're all in air signs, fire signs. The air signs and fire signs are the masculine signs of the zodiac. But so it is this interesting dynamic of like balance right now. And also with the sun and Mars in opposition, oppositions are, they mean integration. Like that is the medicine that is within oppositions. You want to be integrating. So figure out what energies within yourself or with your environment within your life need to be balanced and fully integrated right now. So that, I mean, because really, like, even though these are completely, like, these energies look like they're so far apart from each other, they're really the same. Like, it's the same energy on the same spectrum, but it's just getting into that midpoint to really allow for that balance. And so speaking of balance, let's talk about what's going on with Venus, because Venus is down here at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. And 27 degrees of Sagittarius, where is that? That is where the galactic center is. And so the galactic center is like this energy, this point in the chart in our solar system of just like birth and creation. And so we've got Venus in a tense aspect with Jupiter, Neptune as well, but mostly with, it's a lot more strong with Jupiter because it's so much closer. It's just 2 degrees off and it's moving towards Jupiter. Venus is. And so with this, so Venus and Jupiter, they are known as the great benefics. They offer blessings and abundance and just really beautiful magic into our lives. But so they're in this tense aspect. So at this time, definitely be aware of overindulgence, also of spiritual bypassing, spiritual psychosis, and just kind of like an over grandiose kind of energy. Like, just be sure to stay grounded because there is just so much energy that is really able to be birthed and created at this time, like just these spirals of creation, because the galactic center, it is like, it's just, it creates this spiraling vortex within the chart. And when you look at Jupiter, Jupiter's got those like spirals, those storms on on the face of it. And so just really allowing a surrender to just tap into these spirals of creation and see where the flow is sending you. So the thing about just this energy right now of like not forcing things and allowing things to flow is just remember, like, when one door closes, many more will open, because as I've mentioned again, like, there is this big energy of closing things out right now, but it really is lending towards this alchemical transformation that is happening within all of us and within the planet at a very deep, energetic, spiritual, emotional level. So what else about Venus here at the galactic center? It is this energy of truth and of truth and balance and fairness and truth. So another thing about the energies of Sagittarius and Pisces is belief. What is it that you are believing right now? Because it's just, whenever there's a lot of Pisces, Neptunian energy in the chart, there's always a chance for like deception or not seeing things as they are, or also like manipulation. So it is really important right now to trust in our intuition, to allow ourselves to just be guided by our intuition. If you ever feel like you are trying to tap into your intuition, but are just like having a hard time doing that, just be present in your body and tap into how you're feeling. How is your body feeling? Are you feeling a tightness somewhere in your body? Are you feeling a pain somewhere? Are you feeling expansive within your body? Because our subconscious mind, it communicates to us through our body. And so again, just this ability of tapping deeply into the subconscious mind right now, because our logical minds, with Mars and Gemini here, our logical mind might not be as strong as we would usually like for it to be. All right, so speaking about the mind, let's talk about Mercury a little bit, because Mercury, as I had mentioned, has just recently, with around the time of this full moon, will have ingressed into the sign of Capricorn, Capricorn being an earth sign, so it is a slower moving energy. And so, so again, like, the mind might not be as quick or as like nimble as you would usually like for it to be. So really allow yourself to tap into your body, because our body is a part of our mind communicating to us, as I have mentioned, with the subconscious mind. So what else is there in the chart? So also, I think really there's just one more aspect that I want to mention, and that is this quincunx here happening between the sun and Uranus. And so quincunxes are energies of like something not really connecting and needing to figure out how to connect the energies so that it's kind of like our blind spot. But so Uranus being that rebellious, awakening sort of energy, like there can be things right now kind of just like happening out of nowhere. And so again, like really allowing yourself to just surrender into the malleability and like the natural chameleon like energy of these mutable signs. Just to surrender and open yourself up to change, because this can be a really beautiful time for just blessings and just blessings and magic to enter into our lives, and also like beautiful points of creation. But the thing is that we have to allow ourselves to be open to that, because as I had mentioned before, like if we're off emotionally, if we're holding on to old stagnant emotions, we're not going to be able to open ourselves up to opportunities or blessings or all of these gifts that the universe is trying to give us, because we're going to be closed off because of our past traumas and because of just like old pain, old hurt that we're holding on to. And so again, going back to allowing yourself to just be cleansed and just be purged throughout this time as Jupiter is working through these final this final degree of Pisces. And so also again, yeah, just like the clearing of old emotions. So I want to talk about Venus a little bit, because this is just, so I've been working with roses a lot lately, like rose powder, rose tea, rose oil, rose like rose hydrosol, rose water. And it has really been helping me move through old energies of just like anger. So because Venus is having this interaction with Jupiter, and like there is this energy of like clearing old emotions and like through the heart. But so Venus isn't just great for the heart and for opening up our heart, clearing energies of the heart. Venus is also really great at assisting the liver and that cleansing our liver and kidneys. And our liver holds on to anger. And so yeah, like if you feel like you need a little assistance in clearing out stagnant emotions right now, working with Rose could be a really beautiful thing. So I think that's about everything that I wanted to look at within the chart. So again, like I want to emphasize this significance of this full moon happening at 16 degrees, because this is a degree that Mars has already been at, and now it's meeting the moon here where the moon is eclipsing it. And so I pulled up the what's it called? Like the Sabian symbol of 16 degrees of Gemini. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. And it is a woman activist in an emotional speech. What has been, okay, and it says a passionate response to a deeply felt new experience. So our emotions right now really can be just offering us so many blessings, and just so much power, especially like the moon conjunct Mars. That is an energy of power, like of tapping into our emotions in order to really harness power. So what is it that you deeply believe in right now? What is it that you are passionate about? Allow yourself to tap into that energy, that emotion, in order to just like assist with taking inspired action. Now might be a really challenging time to be taking action, because Mars is retrograde. It is creating this like energy of us having to slow down in the way that we take action. But we can be inspired in the ways that we want to take action. So whether it's revisiting something from the past, something that we might have let go of, but that we deeply and passionately cared about, like revisiting these things, or also perhaps, I just like, my mind just completely went blank. But so anyway, let's just get into this. So what has been discovered not only needs to be discussed and tested through an intellectual exchange, which permits its formulation, it also demands exteriorization. So this massive energetic transformation that is happening within is ultimately going to be happening without, on the outer, like our outer reality. So this implies the act of dealing with those who are still unaware of new knowledge or realization. A public is needed, and it has to be convinced. Its inertial resistance to change has to be overcome. Do not be so fixed on certain outcomes or certain things right now. And again, allow yourself to flow and be flexible. This usually requires an emotional dramatization of the issues at stake. Here again, as at the very start of the cycle, Aries 1, where Jupiter will soon be moving to, a woman is depicted, which means a person depending upon feelings and fiery images to sway the receptive public. What an image of the moon conjunct Jupiter at this time. But so this makes me think two things. And because of those, the duality, like the double of the Gemini, of the twins, and of the two fish of Pisces, there's going to be two ways that things can be perceived right now. And so with someone speaking very passionately about something that they care about, depending on the intention or the motives of that person, it can either be a very beautiful thing, an empowering thing, or it can be deceptive or manipulative. And so again, this is why it is so important right now to truly be firm in yourself and in our own beliefs, and to really understand ourselves and what it is that we believe, so that we cannot be swayed if by chance someone someone appears that has ill intentions towards us. So let's see, the emergence from the vast ocean of potentiality, which constitutes human nature at all levels. What is at stake is a process of communication of new experiences. The mind is called upon to perform its work, but what comes first is the action of that mind, which is violently moved and which attempts to move other minds by violent means. The proselytizing mind. So let's look up that word. Let's see. It means the action of attempting to convert someone from one religion, belief, or opinion to another. So again, just be aware right now of spiritual psychosis, spiritual bypassing, or someone, just be aware of people with ill intentions trying to manipulate you from an area of spirituality, I guess is all I'm trying to say. Just be grounded. I mean, this is a really beautiful energy to work with right now, but there also can be, I mean, there's higher expressions and lower expressions to anything in astrology. And so, yeah, just be aware right now, be present and be aware. So also, I just want to mention herbs that are good to work with right now at the time of this full moon, because it is ruled by Gemini, where there's just a lot of energy happening right now. This is ruled by Mercury. This full moon is ruled by Mercury. And so utilizing herbs that are mercurial can assist with stimulating the conscious mind and also allowing it to just like relax. Because when our conscious mind is being overworked, we can feel like just stressed out, stress headaches, Also, Gemini rules our respiratory system and our lungs. And so herbs that are ruled by Mercury can assist with the respiratory system. And also, like, do not forget about the medicine of the breath right now. If ever you are feeling anxious or stressed or just like overwhelmed, return to your body and return to your breath. Just connect to your breath. Allow yourself to take a few deep breaths and just regroup, because our breath truly is like a very powerful medicine. But so herbs that you can utilize at this time that are mercurial, just to give an example of a few, would be bergamot, cinnamon, lavender, thyme, mint, dill, or star anise. So these are great herbs to work with. You could either like make tea with them, make like room sprays, use essential oils, just however you feel inclined to work with them. Thyme is really great at cleansing, just the environment. Back in like medieval times, they used to use thyme to cleanse areas of sickness, like hospitals, because not only does it clear out bacteria and viruses, but it can also provide a very strong spiritual protection. So thyme is a really great thing to work with if you are feeling like you need a boost of spiritual protection right now. So I think that is about everything that I wanted to cover at the time of this full moon. Yeah, so if you want to understand how exactly this full moon will be affecting you in particular, just look to see what areas in your chart Gemini, Gemini and Sagittarius rules. But if you want to kind of also get a deeper understanding, also look to the sign of Pisces and see if you have any planets in these areas or what houses these areas rule in your chart. And again, like if you have mutable placements, or I might not have mentioned this, but if you do have mutable placements, the mutable signs being Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Virgo, you may be feeling this energy a little more intensely, but just lean into it because this tension is a really powerful opportunity to make transformation and to, just have a very deep alchemical transformation in our lives within ourselves. And I hope you found this helpful. If you did, again, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And also post some comments to say how you are experiencing this energy right now. Just yet another very beautiful and rare astrological alignment that we get to live through in our lives. What a blessing, right? So thank you again, and until next time.